I want to begin just by pointing out the obvious, and that is that we follow things that move. When I was in Rome, I was studying there when I was in college, and a friend of mine and I rented some motorinis, the little scooters that go around Rome. There's hundreds of them. And we were riding them, and it was cold outside, so I was wearing these thick gloves. And as I was pushing down, turning the accelerator, my hand got stuck. My glove got stuck underneath the accelerator, and I was going pretty fast and was stopped suddenly by a parked car that was right in front of me. We follow things that move. We run into things that aren't moving. And as obvious as it sounds, this is terribly important for us as Christians, because Jesus doesn't say, "Watch me," which would allow us to just stay in our place and stare at him. He doesn't say, "Read about me," which we could do from the privacy of our rooms without having to risk anything. But he says, "Follow me." And if we believe that he rose from the dead, and if we don't believe that he was lying to us when he said, "Behold, I am with you even to the end of the age," then it means that we have to respond to this invitation today. It is as much for us as it was for those who followed him 2,000 years ago. Jesus is moving, and he is asking us to follow him. And my friends, this is not something optional in the Christian life. If we are not moving with Christ, then we are not Christians. This is a bit of a bold claim, I know, but if we are not moving with Christ, then we are not Christians. We may use the same words as Christians use. We may do the same outward practices as Christians. We may even publicly identify ourselves as Christians. But if we are not moving with Christ, if we are not following him when he is moving today, then we are not Christians. We're something else. You know, before Christianity was called Christianity, it was called the Way, which implies movement. It means that we're going somewhere. Our good associate pastor pointed out to me last Thursday something that the Pope had said. It's always good to have an associate pastor that listens to the Pope. But Pope Francis spoke about people who claim to be Christians but without Christ. They live on this superficial level, and in the words of the Holy Father, they masquerade as Christians. And in the end, he says, they're not happy. In fact, the Pope says, they are the slaves of superficiality and the slaves of rigidity. They are not free. And the sign that they are not free is that they lack joy. And I have to tell you that my greatest fear for us Catholic Christians today is that our lives would lack the joy that attract other people to Christ. And the only way for this joy to be rediscovered is if we will look for his presence in our daily circumstances and follow him. There is no other reality in which Christ appears to us. I mean, unless we were fortunate enough to be visited by angels or receive visions from the Lord, and I'm not discounting that. Maybe you're fortunate enough to have that happen. But for most of us, we are left with facing the seemingly mundane and routine aspects of our daily existence. And it is there that Christ appears to us. He has to. I mean, you understand, there is no other place. We cannot live in another world. We cannot create some other reality. I remember following someone on the back of his pickup truck. There was a bumper sticker that said, "I choose not to live in reality." And I thought, I don't want to follow this guy on the road, because God only knows where he is right now. But we can't do it. We can't create some other reality. This is it. If he is not here, then he is not Christ. if He is not at your home, if He is not at your job, on our streets, walking with us, then He is not who He said He is. And so if you feel a sense of distance from Him, if you feel as though He no longer cares, then fight through that emotional pain and suffering and look for Him in the midst of your lives. Look for Him in the midst of your circumstances. My friends, this is the greatest thing that we can offer our family members and our co-workers. If we live our days searching for Him, then life becomes an adventure, one that is filled with new discoveries and new hope and new joy. But if we're only repeating words and just imitating His behaviors, then soon that joy will disappear, and we will be left only with a life of following rules. And please God, the Son of God came for more than just to give us rules to follow. He came to give us joy, a sense of hope, a reason to keep going every day. You see how life becomes so much more full when we know that He is waiting for us. When we know with certainty when we get out of bed in the morning that He is there, waiting in our daily circumstances. And this can be a real challenge for us, because sometimes our circumstances are not that pretty. And we can make excuses like those in the gospel. I've lost someone that I love. I have a new job and I'm busy. I have responsibilities with my family and I have to provide for them. And we can add countless excuses to that list. But in the end, you and I must decide, do we truly believe that He is the Christ and follow Him? Or are we just comfortable using His words and His name when it seems convenient for us? It's tough. But Christianity is not for the weak. It is not for the complacent. And it is not for those who refuse to move. Christianity is for the adventurous. And this community needs to see the presence of Christ in us. This community needs to see God's presence with a capital P, to know that He is with us. When political decisions don't go our way, and when the use of reason seems absent from those decisions, we say with the confidence of St. John that the victory that conquers the world is our faith. Our faith. Yours and mine. Not a faith that is merely a profession of words, but a faith that is lived fully, filled with the presence of Christ, permeating all that we do. It is a life that is a sign that is something greater. A life that is filled with tremendous joy. Jesus is asking us to move, to follow Him, to move in our spiritual life, to move in the way that we respond to the people who are in front of us. We must not be afraid to face the challenges that are in front of us, and there are many. But the good news is that He is already there. He is waiting for us, waiting to lead us and to guide us through all the difficulties of life, to give us a sense of joy that no one can take away from us.